The PacMania Legacy cab from Arcade1Up is actually pretty awesome, except for one thing. The screen is no bueno, but maybe there's something we can do about that. Hi guys, MichaelBtheGameGenie here. Thank you so much for checking out the video. Today we're going to be taking a look one more time at the Arcade1Up PacMania Legacy Edition cabinet. And we're going to be addressing the major flaw of that cabinet, of course that being the screen, and seeing if we can take a look at something from the past that might improve the present. And I'm going to tell you more about it right after this. So that's right guys, today we're going to be taking one more look at the PacMania Legacy Edition cabinet from Arcade1Up. If you watched my review from a couple weeks ago, I actually really like this cabinet. I like the art on the cabinet, I like the unique form factor, I think the games list is fantastic, and the online connectivity makes this a great cabinet. However, it does have one fatal flaw, that being that horrendous screen that absolutely kills all value from this cabinet. It's just not one you really want to pay full price for and have in your collection. However, I have read about something online that may in fact improve the experience, so I'm going to be taking a look at it today and seeing if I could potentially move forward and become a modder. I know I leave all my stuff stock, but I'm going to mod my Arcade1Up PacMania Legacy cabinet to see if I can fix the big flaw that cabinet has. But before we get into that, I want to say thank you so much to everybody for checking out the video. Guys, I always appreciate your support. If this is your first time to the channel, you like what you see, go ahead, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, all that YouTube stuff. So guys, here you can see the Arcade1Up PacMania marquee. I have a little bit of a glitch on it, so Arcade1Up actually sent me a replacement marquee. So since I'm going to be taking the machine apart anyways to fix the marquee, I might as well take a look at this terrible screen and what I can do with it. Fortunately, a while back, one of the first tickets I ever put into Arcade1Up was something to do with my monitor, and they sent me an entire monitor piece in order to fix the bezel around my original MK monitor. So the first thing you're going to want to do is actually take apart your cabinet. I know I wish this was easier where you didn't have to take it apart, but like I mentioned earlier, in order to change out the marquee, basically you have to take the complete side off it, so now's the time to do it since we're going to be taking everything apart. This is actually relatively easy. You just take the screws out of the side panel and you can pop it right off. There it goes. And of course, after we take the screws out of the side panel, we're also going to want to remove this back panel piece and the marquee and speaker unit. Well, me personally, because I'm going to be working on that. Now, one thing you'll have to do is you're going to have to get the screen completely off the cabinet, so unscrew those screws in the back, and once you get those unscrewed, we're going to be actually popping the monitor off and moving it to the side. We can actually remove the entire body of the arcade at this point because we're going to be focusing on the screen itself. So what you're going to want to do is actually take the PCB off the back of the screen. Anybody that's ever had to done a PCB replacement with an Arcade1Up cab in the past, this is old hat for you, but basically that's what we're doing here. So we unscrew the box, get all that disconnected. That's our first step. This is relatively easy. There's actually more screws in the modern PCB boxes than there used to be. The original PCB boxes only came with 2 screws. So once we get that undone, we're going to pull the marquee out, make sure the wires aren't in the way. There's a little bit of tape there that stuck that, and then you can see the PCB. Now, in order to get this apart, we are in fact going to have to pull out the pieces, and unfortunately Arcade1Up heavily glues down a lot of their components inside their machines if you've ever modded anything before, so it's no surprise that you're going to have to break out a hairdryer and you're going to have to get the glue hot in order to loosen it up. So I managed to get that piece out, and then I took off this piece here with the screwdriver. I don't know exactly what this does. This may be the ground. I'm not exactly the most technical person, but you're going to want to unscrew that. And then the last piece, you're going to be very careful here because you're going to make sure which side the red wire's connected to, otherwise you will fry your machine. I took a picture to make sure I knew exactly how to put it back, but at that point we've basically disconnected the PCB from the modern screen. And now we're actually going to connect it to the old screen. I did this separately. I didn't record it, but I did disconnect the old Mortal Kombat 2 PCB from this screen, so I'm good to go. I put the big pin connector back with the red wires in the correct position because I don't want to break anything. That's the first thing I did. This one's a little bit tricky to get on, but not too bad. Then after that, we're going to put this piece back in. Luckily, there's no glue on this piece to fight with, so we can just put it right back in its appropriate slot. Guys, I'm so nervous doing this. I've never, ever done a full screen replacement. Luckily, I have done a PCB replacement in the past, so it's not too new to me. Then, of course, we're going to screw back down the ground like we did in the original cabinet. The ground for the monitor into the PCB. And then, like I mentioned, there's only 2 screws on this one. Even though there's many more screws, the old monitor screen only had 2 screw holes to go into. And it actually does have a configuration for a vertical monitor, not just the horizontal monitor. Then after you get that done, you're going to want to just pull out your control panel and the power cord and test that everything worked right, and somehow, by the grace of God, I haven't broke this thing. The screen actually turned on, so I know now that I can go through with the rest of the build of the cabinet, and I don't have too much to worry about. I gotta say, early on, this picture looks great. Already, I feel like I'm in a better position. So you unscrew the marquee or the bezel from the original screen. Unfortunately, you're going to have to do that to remove the screen. That's your first step with the original screen now. So we'll take the bezel off, get each screw out. Don't do what I did. Make sure it's in a clean space so you don't have flecks of dust and cat hair and stuff getting underneath the bezel or getting on the screen. Now you're actually going to have to unscrew the screen from the board to put the new screen in. There's 8 screws. Really easy to get out. Not too much trouble at all. This isn't the difficult part. The difficult part comes after we get this piece of the screen out. You don't have to be too gentle here unless you want to repurpose that screen. Now this is where it gets complicated because we're going to have to put the new screen in, and you're going to want to make sure it's positioned very evenly. Otherwise, the screen won't look good behind the bezel. The bezel's in a fixed position, and you can have part of your screen cut off by the bezel if the screen isn't in the right place. The screw holes are a little bit larger than they need to be, so once you have it in a good position, put your bezel back on, make sure you find your correct holes, make sure that your screen lines up perfectly with the bezel so you don't have any overlap. Now you can screw it back on. Now when you screw it back on, make sure there's no dust, lint, any specks underneath the bezel before you put it all back together, because once this goes back on the machine, it's going to be very hard to get that out. So here is the new screen in the machine with everything done, and I have to say I'm incredibly happy with it. I don't know if you can tell from this video, but you can already see the black levels are much more robust. The colors look a lot better. I apologize, I think my screen was focusing off the screen, so the screen may not be as clear as I would like to be in this video, but immediately I'm noticing a huge difference compared to the original screen. You can see it doesn't have that washed out gray type look when you're looking at it straight on. So this is something I couldn't do when I had the old screen in the cabinet. I have this turned slightly to the side, and you can notice the crystal clear picture, the good black levels. The game looks fantastic while I'm playing Pac-Man. I am very happy so far with the results of this mod. Again, I'm fascinated. I haven't broke something when doing this, and now I can absolutely love this machine because I'm playing Pac-Man and it looks like Pac-Man once again. I just can't tell you how good it looks. The blacks, the reds, the blues, all the colors look right. Even when you're playing Dig Dug, it looks a little bit better. But I did want to show you this. The screen replacement is still a TN monitor with backlighting. It's not perfect, so when you do turn the screen this way, you will still have some darkening and discolorization when you're looking at the screen from an angle on the left side. You don't notice this front on, but you will notice it on an angle from the left side. So guys, here you can see me playing straight on with Galaga. I got the appropriate black level I want. The picture looks fantastic. Very happy with this. If you go back and compare this to the video I shot from the original Pac-Mania with the original screen, Want a stark difference? And even from a steep right angle on the right side, the colors, the black levels, everything looks fantastic here. If you do have access to a Wave 1 or Wave 2 Arcade1Up monitor, highly recommend you swap it out with one of these Legacy cabs. Well guys, there you have it. I did the screen mod on my PacMania Legacy Edition cabinet, and somehow, I can't believe this, I didn't break it. I was so terrified to do this. I've been thinking about doing it for months and months and months, but I was just scared that I wouldn't have the technical capabilities to do it. But believe me, it's actually not that hard. Anybody can do it. And I will say I am very, very happy with the end result. The picture looks much, much better. I would even say amazing. The black levels are definitely to the point where I want them to be for playing some of these games like Pac-Man, Galaga. And, you know, you don't have the horrendous washout when you move to the right side of the screen. The left side of the screen, however, you do get some discolorization or discoloration, and it sucks, but it's still much, much better than the original screen looked like in the cabinet. Let's be honest, even looking dead on, the picture looked good, but it was a little bit too bright, a little bit too gray, a little bit too washed out. This absolutely improves that, and I am so happy that I did this mod. And I'm glad that I got this experience, because now I'm going to be dealing with some other Arcade1Up cabinets in my lineup that also have junky screens that I think are great cabinets that I can fix thanks to this newfound skill I have of doing the screen mod. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comments, what do you think of the screen modification for the PacMania Legacy cabinet, the Model 2, Wave 2, Mortal Kombat screen turned sideways, put to the cabinet? Do you think it made as much of a difference as I do? Do you think this is a great mod? And is this something you're considering doing yourself? If you have one of those horrendous Legacy cabinets from last year, whether it be MK30, whether it be the Centipede cab, or PacMania itself, let me know in the comments down below. Once again, thank you so much everybody for checking out the video. This is Michael B. the Game Genie. I'll talk to you next time.